This is your Daily 5 for Wednesday, February 4th, 2026. You may have heard something about I believe temporary, I think the stocks have now stabilized and gone back to where they were, but there was a temporary drop in many stocks for some of the biggest video game companies in the world after a bunch of people were posting generations of video game worlds with a big asterisk after it because they really weren't, from a new tool called... Was it Gemini 3? I feel it had a G, but I don't know if it was Gemini 3. I think it was something similar. Whatever it was a new version of some generative AI tool where people were creating facsimiles of things like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild or LA Noire or a GTA style game and representing them as if they were basically games, which... Those assertions were always false, and a lot of people tried to come in and say, no, these are not video games. These are basically just big empty worlds that you can wander through. But of course, because the stock market is as much of a joke as walking into a casino based on what the intelligence level is and the people who make these decisions and how the markets come up or go down, people panicked and the stocks dropped, and a lot of people were actually, jump in now because it's not going to stay like this. And like I said, I don't think it has. But the funniest part besides the stock market thing, which is just, again, demonstrates that that's a joke. But besides that, and I don't even care about the tool because it's not really that much different than other tools that have come before. One interesting element is one of the people, I think it was over on... It was either Verge or Polygon, I don't remember which of the sites, was generating all these different things. And at one point was generating a Kingdom Hearts style world, which for those who don't know, that was a game series where elements of Disney's IP were all kind of mixed together. So you would have a character like Daffy Duck would be in the same game as Jack Skellington. And they, it was I think it was 3 or 4 of those games were made. And so they were creating essentially copies of that. And then there came a point where they weren't able to do it the same way because there was a warning coming up that there was a concern over the IP holders for these properties, meaning Disney. And you could still get around it, but you just couldn't use the specific names of the characters. And that immediately caught my eye because this goes back to an argument that I've said many times I have a huge problem with, which is the idea that all art is theft. And many AI proponents will trot this thing out as a defense of how these systems work. Let's start with all art is not theft. That is a nonsense argument. It infuriates me when people say that because it shows a deep level of disrespect for what creativity is. But let's not get back into that now. Let's get into something more relatable, which is, okay, let's assume all art is theft, even though it's not. In that world, Disney should not be able to have any legal threat over another company because it's transforming the work. It's taking the work and recontextualizing it because that's what these people say as well with these tools. No. It's recontextualizing. It's transforming. You really can't attribute IP copyright to these things because they are remixing things just like all artists do. Okay. Well, then why was Disney able to scare, I think it's a Google product, I don't remember, whoever this company behind this is, into not letting you say characters like Jack Skellington, right? Why were they able to do that? Perhaps it's because copyright is not equally applied. Copyright applies to those who have a legal team that can enforce it. And therefore, it's not really that all art is theft. It's that art from major companies that have legal departments the size of a small nation, that's theft. But somebody who's barely making it, even though they could be every bit as creative or more as anything coming out of a Disney stable, those people, now that's theft. That's okay. That doesn't matter. They're stealing and we can steal from them because they don't have a car full of lawyers that will pour out into a courtroom to defend them. That's really what that's saying. And that is what my problem with what a lot of these people say is they're not really saying that art is theft. If that were true, then no major company would be able to defend their copyright because, and this is true, Disney ripped off as much as anybody has from people before, but funny enough, they have a defense for it. So when you hear people saying, well, you can't get upset about AI ripping off people's work because all art is theft, keep that in mind. Art is only theft when there's not a legal team to defend it. If there is, then it's copyrighted. And in that case, magically, art no longer becomes theft. Funny how that works, isn't it? Yeah, later.